Hi, this is Mo Volans for Tuts Plus, and in this series of quick tips, we're looking at the foundation of subtractive synthesis, or at least foundation sounds that you should be able to create quickly and move between them quickly as well. So we've got things like, we've just done resonant and noise-based effects. Now we're going to be looking at pads and strings. Then we're going to move on to bass and lead and perhaps some drum percussion sounds. And if you can move between these quickly from an initialized patch, it should make you a better subtractive synthesist. We're using a really simple synth. It's FabFilter One. It's got one oscillator, one filter, one envelope, one LFO. It doesn't get any simpler than this. So if you can do it on this synth, then you can start to progress to more complex synths. But essentially, these are definitely transferable skills and should, make the beginner aware of how these sounds are created. And it doesn't hurt for even experienced, engineers to get back to roots when it comes to synthesis. So let's take a look at pad and string sounds. We're back with our initialized saw wave. This is just a mono patch. And you can hear that it only plays one note at a time. So the first thing we need to do to be able to play chords is put it into poly mode. So really, you've got to have a polyphonic synth to do this. If it's a straight up mono synth, it's not going to work. Now we can play some chords. Now that's all well and good. And it sounds sort of like a classic, analog string patch but the main thing that we need to do is to get the dynamic signature correct for this sort of sound. So we need to raise the attack a little bit and we need to raise the release quite a lot. So you can usually match these or, have the attack a little faster than the release, whatever. Probably a little bit too much release. You'll find the ratio on some synths is different to others. This is the only thing you're going to need to change when you're moving between synths, is tweaking the parameters because they might just be set up slightly differently. So we've got quite a nice analog style string straight away, and that's really 2 moves. That's all we've done. Actually make it 3 with the change of the mono to poly. If you want to make a pad sound, we can probably just make it a little softer, up the resonance a little bit, and then match the filter, e.g. modulation, envelope generation, modulation with the envelope we've already used. And you might find that that's a little bit too much modulation and a little bit too much cut off. And you might need to open the release a little bit to make it a little softer. You start to get this resonant modulation, more harmonics, and it sounds a little bit more synthesized. Now, one thing you can do here, I've just set up a couple of effects. They're just reverb and chorus, Dimension D from Roland, UAD, and a nice hall reverb from Lexicon. And when it comes to pads, adding things like this. Suddenly makes it more stereo, more open. So any sort of chorus will add more dimension as well. So reverb and chorus are total winners, but let's count the moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, done. And you might want to add some portmanteau. So let's go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so really simple stuff. 7 moves, few more than the effects. But if you can sort of remember those similar moves, you can get into a vanilla pad sound really quickly. Then the modulation and everything, sort of window dressing and decoration, really, really simple to get from sort of a straight up mono synth default patch to a nice open pad. Hopefully this has helped. Next we'll do bass and then we'll do lead, and I'll show you that these sounds are actually very similar and very close together, so you can then move between the other patches to one another as well. As always, leave comments, let me know if you want to hear anything else or if you think I should be doing something better, and I'll try and add it to my to-do list.